Hello, welcome to another news list. I'm back after a rather stressful week for me. In a crazy twist of fate, after Pete broke his ass recently, I also slipped and I broke my ass. And then, after I recovered a bit, I fell off my chair and re-broke my ass. What a week. Please send me your well wishes to @AdamTheBlompier on Twitter. Thanks, Pete, for writing this intro. I'm Adam, and here are 10 news stories you might have missed from this week. Number 1, Cody Rhodes Triple H heat. Cody Rhodes certainly raised some eyebrows of AEW fans when he returned to WWE earlier this month at WrestleMania to face Seth Rollins, and those eyebrows only raised themselves further when Rhodes mentioned in interviews that Triple H, whom he had previously called out on many an occasion, including breaking his throne with a sledgehammer and getting a golden shovel out from under the ring, was actually his favorite wrestler. Sure, Jan, we believe you, Cody. But when Rhodes recently appeared on Ryan Satin's Out of Character podcast, while still maintaining that Triple H was one of his favorites, Cody also maintained that he harbored a level of anger towards him. Here he is, upper management, one of the greatest of all time, going through a lot himself. Maybe just talking to me was another Tuesday. For me, it wasn't. It was different because he is one of my favorites, Sting, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. I did model a great portion of what I was doing after how he had modeled a lot of the game brand, but also too, I was very, very angry. That anger remains as far as how we saw each other, how he saw me, and what I wanted to do. I wanted to channel that anger differently. It was a really touching moment. I didn't tell anybody what he said, and I won't, but it was a touching moment. Definitely sounds like he's one of your favorites, Cody. No resentment at all. Number 2, no end to WWE's brand split. At WrestleMania, Roman Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar to unify the WWE and Universal Championships, with him being crowned the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, or UWU Champion if you prefer. And since then, Reigns has also ordered the Usos to unify the Tag Team Championships as well. And with the women's tag belts already being non-brand specific, this has led to much speculation that this is signaling an end to the brand split once again. However, according to Dave Meltzer, WWE currently does not plan on doing so, with there being no plans in place right now to end the brand split, which I'm sure doesn't actually make that much difference when Raw and SmackDown stars are free to jump between shows at this point anyway. But how can WWE simply discard the much respected and tenured guidelines of the quarterly brand-to-brand invitational wildcard rule? Number 3, Vince McMahon thought RVD was already in the Hall of Fame. At the Hall of Fame last year, RVD took his place in the class of 2021, which is very much well-deserved. Well done, Ronald Van Donald. But according to the man himself, Vince McMahon thought, apparently, he was already in it. Classic Vince. I learned that, I think it was Michael Hayes that told me that they were sitting around the table like they do when it came up. I guess Vince said something to the effect of, too bad RVD is already in the Hall of Fame, or he'd be a good candidate for this year. And someone said, I think it was Michael Hayes said, Vince, RVD is not in the Hall of Fame. He thought I was and was like, what? Number 4, Veer and WrestleMania 38 draw big in India. Veer is coming, Veer is coming, Veer is coming, Veer is coming is all we heard for several months on WWE. And in spite of that boring nonsense, somehow the irony got over with the online portion of WWE's fans. Regardless, when Veer made his re-debut on the Raw after WrestleMania, it was received somewhat okay, I guess. It was fine, wasn't it? But that's not what's happening over in India, because according to India.com, yes, that is a real website, that episode of Raw increased by 9% viewership, which you would assume had something to do with Veer Mahan. And the Indian market isn't just reliant on Veer either, as according to the same website, the viewership for WrestleMania 38 saw a gigantic increase as well, with 56.1 million people watching live across both nights, a reported increase of 29% from last year's WrestleMania. See, AEW? That's how you break into the Indian market. Take note, Satnam Singh. Number 5, Stone Cold done with wrestling. Arguably the biggest series of moments across WrestleMania 38 was Stone Cold Steve Austin's return to wrestling on night 1 in the main event, and his return to give the best and then the worst stunner to Austin Theory and Vince McMahon, respectively. But was that the actual swan song for Steve Austin after his previous swan song at WrestleMania 19, of course? Well, according to Austin himself, he's definitely done with wrestling. Maybe. Speaking on the Brewbound podcast, Stone Cold said, if you would have told me, hey man, you're going to be part of WrestleMania 38, not only that, you're going to main event night 1, I would have said, you're full of and you're crazy. And there I was in Dallas, Texas, headlining main event on night 1, so never say never. But I would really imagine that within the scope of that show, that's going to be a big show in a big-time city, and it'll be a 2-night event again. So I'm sure I'm done wrestling per se, but as part of WWE, I can't imagine I would not be there in some capacity, and I'm not booking myself on the show because I didn't book myself on 38. That's a Vince thing, and I have a great relationship with him, and if I get the call, I'll be there. So that's an I'm done with wrestling unless they want to pay me a lot. Then I guess. Number 6, Nikki Bella returning. Nikki Bella returned to wrestling this past January as part of the Women's Royal Rumble match, which was the first time she'd had a match since 2018 when she was forced out of in-ring competition due to a neck injury. When recently doing a Q&A for America's Got Talent Extreme, Nikki responded to if she would be heading back to the ring again, as long as the doctors say yes, especially with my sister. When we left is when they brought in the tag titles. I kind of would like it more when my son is like 3 or 4. A dream of mine, especially as a woman, is to have one of the best matches of my career with my son sitting ringside and being like, that's my mom. I really would love to go back one day with my sister, fight for the tag titles and win them in front of our kids. That would be amazing. That does seem very wholesome, so hopefully she can do that in the future and that the fans are super cool about it. Number 7, GCW IWTV lawsuit settlement. One of the hottest indie promotions going right now is GCW, or Game Changer Wrestling, with the likes of Matt Cardona going against the grain in the promotion, doing some marvelous heel work, appearances from high-profile names such as John Moxley and Sean Waltman. The promotion is definitely on the rise. However, the promotion was involved in a lawsuit until very recently with InternetWrestling.tv, or IWTV. IWTV filed the lawsuit in June 2021 for an alleged breach of contract, as they were said to have exclusive rights to broadcast GCW shows, while GCW promoted and hosted events on sites such as Fight. However, now GCW has revealed that the lawsuit has been settled. IWTV will reportedly not receive any compensation for damages, which were originally estimated at around $500,000, and GCW will retain the rights to all their content. Number 8, WWE hasn't fined stars for marijuana in years. It was 420 earlier this week. Happy Weed Day, everyone. There's some happy news coming out of WWE in relation to that date as well, as of course the marijuana has continued to be legalized in various states across America. In previous years, there were numerous WWE stars who were penalized on WWE's wellness policy for smoking the weed, but with it becoming increasingly legal and less looked down upon in some circles anyway, Fightful Select is reporting that WWE talent told them that nobody has been suspended for marijuana use in years. They apparently still get tested for everything, and penalties for weed are still listed on WWE's corporate website, but fines for marijuana are reportedly no longer enforced, which is good for wrestlers like Riddle and Randy Orton, who quite openly talk about how much they like that little recreation, with a 420 t-shirt even being officially released by WWE. What a change in tune. Number 9, former WWE star appears on Price is Right. There's not really much to this story. You guys remember Ezekiel Jackson? Former ECW champion Ezekiel Jackson and former member of the Core with the 2 R's. Very important. Well, he was on The Price is Right. Isn't that weird? He and his family even made it to the Showcase Showdown part of that show. That's nice. Well done, Ezekiel. That's not his real name. And number 10, Vince McMahon wanted The Rock to wrestle a bear. That's the headline. Back in the year 2000, WWE joined the New York Stock Exchange, and according to Bruce Pritchard on his Something to Wrestle podcast, Vinnie Mac had a wild idea for the celebration. Vince came into my office on a Thursday. I believe it was going to be a Tuesday or a Wednesday that we were going to be on the New York Stock Exchange to ring the bell on the Stock Exchange. And Vince wanted to put a ring in the middle of Wall Street, shut Wall Street down, and put a ring there and have matches at noon. Huge spectacle. We're going to go live on WWF.com. As he trails off, he goes, and I want a bear. I want The Rock to wrestle a bear. The Brahma Bull versus the bear. Pritchard went on to say that thankfully the bear was rethought on several fronts, including animal rights, human rights, and, the right thing to do. Instead, there were just appearances from The Rock, Steve Austin, Triple H, Kurt Angle, and Mick Foley, which I think is probably a bit smarter than a bear, though obviously Daniel Bryan would have preferred if there was a bear there, if his Saturday Morning Slam commentary is anything to go by. And that's our list. What's been your favourite non-bear related news story of the week? Let us know. Make sure you make WrestleTalk.com your homepage for more up-to-the-minute wrestling news. Make sure you're subscribed to WrestleTalk and jam that jam.